Hey everybody, it's Ryan with Swinging Bridge Flies. I'm a full-time fly fishing guide and fly tyer here on Beaver Tailwater in northwest Arkansas. Also guide on the White River over below Bull Shoals Dam, North Fork Tailwater, and down on Little Red in central Arkansas, north central Arkansas. But today, I'm off today. I'm not on the water. Refilling some boxes, getting ready for next week. Um, Tying some flies, and I kind of wanted to start a series of videos that are going to kind of be basically guide flies. This is stuff that's in my box that I'm using every day. Um, Generally just quick and simple, easy to tie flies, but are super effective. Um, so without further ado, I guess let's get going. Today I'm going to do a root beer midge and a ruby midge. They're really the same fly, just a little bit of color variation. So we'll check those out. But they are absolutely great. High water, low water. On bigger water, we fish them in 16s and 14s even. Below either an egg or a worm, something bright and kind of gaudy, and then drop that little more natural midge off behind it. It gets eaten a lot. And then when the water's low, like we're having right now, I'm fishing them in 16s, 18s, and maybe even down to 20s if I feel like I have to for the day. Most of the time, 18 gets it done, even in low, clear water. Um, it's kind of hit or miss on which one I tie on for the day. Oftentimes, when I've got two clients, one in the front, one in the back of the boat, I'll have a ruby midge on one and a root beer midge on the other, and just kind of see where the trout go from a preference standpoint. Let them kind of guide me, but that's pretty much it. It's a super simple fly. It's got just a handful of materials in it. Dry fly hook, you can use a scud hook as well. I don't really see that it makes a whole lot of difference. But I've kind of recently just started been tying them all on just a standard dry fly hook, a Timco 100, one of MFC's hooks. Doesn't really matter, but just a standard dry fly hook. You can, like I said, I've tied them for years and years on scud hooks. Those work just as well too. Don't really know why I changed over to the dry fly hooks, but I did. Gonna need a tungsten bead size to your hook. You can also do that with brass beads if you want. If you want something that's not going to sink quite as much if you're fishing some skinny water. There's lots of options on what you can rib it with. I typically use. I actually like to use Spanflex or Montana Flies. What's it called? Sexy Floss, but Spanflex, dry fly hook. And then Mylar tinsel. I typically just use the medium. I'm going to use brown or red, depending. Red for the ruby, brown for the root beer. And then your favorite thread in a 8/0 or 70 denier in black is typically what I use. You can also, I forgot to mention it, like I said, I know I'm doing these, I rib mine with Spanflex, but you can rib them with wire. I've seen people do a lot of different things. Some people use thread. I find the Spanflex to be a little bit more durable, and I think it produces a little bit better looking bug. So I guess I'm going to switch this camera angle up, get down tight on the vise, and we'll get going. All right, so we're going to get going. Like I said, I've got a dry fly hook in the vise. This is a size 16. I'm doing a kind of a little bit bigger one. Just so the camera picks it up a little bit better, hopefully. And this is a 3/32 tungsten bead in copper. You can vary the colors. And again, I'm using just some 8/0 uni thread because I like it. Get that started. We're gonna go ahead and cut a piece of our Spanflex from Wapsi. You can use any kind of rubber leg, but this is just black. It's the color I would typically recommend for both of these flies to rib them in. You're going to grab one strand. One strand will tie quite a few flies. It does tend to kind of fray a little bit and stuff as you tie it in, but so I always tie in a little bit of excess because it'll split, and I don't want that. So when you put that in, again, tie it in, give it a quick little snip, get it going. I like to do the first little bit up by the head with almost no tension on it. And then I start stretching it as I go to make that, just give it just a little bit of taper. I don't know that it makes any kind of difference to the fish, but it makes me feel better about myself.
So that's what we do. Then we're going to grab, again, this is going to be a root beer midge. So we're going to use some medium brown holographic tinsel. There's lots of different colors, and you can tie this in any number of colors. You can do them in purple. The root beer is what we call the brown one, and the ruby is with the same tinsel but in red. It's a really good fly as well. I've done them in purple, all kinds of colors. So we're going to lay that on, wrap it back right to the bend, and then we're just going to start some wraps up, cover that body. And tie that off right behind the bead. A few good wraps in there, cut it short. And again, this is what I would call, this is a guide fly. This is a super quick, super easy fly. And do some nice open wraps. I have no idea how many that was, 5 or 6. Trout can't count, so don't worry about it. Tie that off right up there at the behind the bead. Get a few more just because, and then if I didn't mention it earlier, little Zappa Gap, little glue of some type. I'm a big fan of using that. I don't like my flies to fall apart before they need to, so I like to brush a little bit on my thread, throw a few wraps in there, grab our handy dandy whip finisher. Boom. And you are done. It's as simple as that. So that is the root beer midge. It's a great fly. We use it, actually catch a lot of fish on this during the caddis hatch. The root beer and the ruby to some extent. We'll tie a ruby real quick just so you can see what that looks like as well. But that is it. Nothing to them. They are easy flies. Fish eat them phenomenally well, which is always a good thing. So same process here. What I like about these as a guide is the last thing that I want to do when I get off the water, after if I fished with you for 8 hours, there's also time on either side of that where I'm getting the boat ready and stopping to get ice and making sandwiches and in the morning before we go and all that kind of good stuff. So the last thing that I want to do is have super complicated flies that take me a long time to tie, that are going to get lost, broken off, whatever. So we like to tie some pretty quick and easy bugs that get the job done and get eaten. I'm actually a big fan of simple flies. I feel like the more material that you put into a fly, the more opportunities or reasons a fish has to say no to it. So I like to eliminate as many opportunities to say no as I can. Just a few materials. We don't have to get super fancy with different colors or hot spots. But this fly was designed on the beaver tailwater. It's a great fly. We hang this below an indicator, below a dry fly. Trailed behind another nymph is quite often the way I do it. I fish them below leeches. These are almost always in my rig. Something that I've definitely got going every day at some point in time. There is one of those two bugs on the end of a line for me. Bang, and there is that ruby midge. It's a good looking bug, gets eaten a lot. And then its cousin, the root beer. And again, you can do these in any kind of color that you want to. You can do the classic ruby and root beer. You can do them in purples, pinks, all kinds of stuff. You can vary the bead color. I actually like to do that. The copper is kind of my standard. If it's, I do tie some with a hot pink bead. pink bead in that kind of shade right there. That's not the right size, but I do tie some in that with those beads. Those work well. Also tie them with silver. Sometimes I find that on brighter days, the brighter colors work a little bit better, but if I only had to have one, it would be copper. It just gets eaten. And if I had to pick one or the other, I'm not sure which one of these I would pick, the root beer or the ruby. I don't know. Crapshoot. A year ago, I would have said the root beer or the ruby, but if you ask me today, it'd probably be the root beer. And again, do this in 14s, a few 14s for higher water, but primarily 16, 18s, and a handful of 20s for if you're in some super skinny water. But I hope this helps you out. I hope you liked it. Looking forward to putting together a few videos like this where we kind of talk about guide flies, and then we'll expand this over into some different stuff too, more seasonal stuff, hoppers, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about getting going on the videos. Hope you guys liked it. If you got any feedback, let me know. And if you haven't ever fished the beaver tailwater, or you just want to take it out, take a guided trip, check out my website, swingingbridgeflies.com. Shoot me an email. All that should be in my bio as well. So reach out to me, get in touch, book a trip, just chat fishing. I'm here for it. So I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll talk with you later.